Head to Whole Foods Market to jumpstart your January during our New Year boosting event with savings on feel-good favorites store-wide. Save on organic picks, wellness staples, and more all month long.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
September 2024, California. It's a sunny afternoon in the Bay. Fans are gathered to watch a basketball game featuring the hometown Golden State Warriors. But this game isn't taking place in the Warriors' home arena, or any arena for that matter. It's at the San Quentin Rehabilitation Center. You see, this game is part of an annual tradition in which the Warriors send coaches and support staff to play against incarcerated persons at the prison. Players like Moses Moody and Quentin Post tag along too, watching the game from the sidelines, touring the facility, and playing dominoes and chess with prisoners. In the end, Golden State wins the game 103-85, giving them a 6-4 all-time series lead against San Quentin in this decade-long rivalry. After the game, the San Quentin players thank Warriors staff and players for their time and for the welcome opportunity to get outside and ball. But to the incarcerated players, this annual showcase is about more than just basketball.
We must show them why they came. But not only that, show them why they invest their time in us as we invest our time in rehabilitating and growing better men. I welcome you to San Quentin, and I welcome you guys to see what we're building here.
To hear them tell it, it's a chance for them to display their humanity and to demonstrate their capacity for rehabilitation and self-improvement. Hey everyone, it's Kavitha Davidson, and welcome back to Sportly. Today, we're taking a look at sports programs in prison. Virtually all state and federal prisons have gyms or yards for playing sports. In fact, the American Bar Association mandates that prisoners be offered access to recreational activities and physical exercise. The same goes internationally for the United Nations and their standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners, which they call, quote, the universally acknowledged blueprint for prison management in the 21st century. Nicknamed the Nelson Mandela Rules in honor of the anti-apartheid activist and political prisoner, these rules encourage prisons to give incarcerated individuals access to exercise and recreational activity, ideally outdoors. More and more, prisons around the world are heeding these recommendations, instituting organized sports programs complete with uniforms, referees, announcers, beat reporters, and opposing teams from the outside, like the Golden State Warriors. Part of the appeal of these programs, of course, is the proven physical, mental, and social benefits that sports can offer. They're also a chance to move freely in a place where your physical activity is heavily policed, whether you're lined up for mealtime, restricted to a certain part of the yard, or confined to your cell. But there's another important purpose of many of these programs: rehabilitation and eventual reentry into society. And as these sports programs grow in popularity, it is worth asking, why are these programs so attractive to the correctional administrators and directors who implement them? How does playing sports benefit incarcerated persons? How can sports be implemented in prisons to improve the lives of the incarcerated without acting as a form of social control or furthering harmful narratives? And simply, are prison sports exploitative? Sports have been around in prisons for a long time. Here in the United States, prisoners have been participating in sports programs since the late 1880s. Concord Reformatory in Massachusetts was the first prison on record to offer club sports in 1886, and a decade later, in 1896, Elmira Reformatory in New York followed suit. Authorities at these facilities saw sports as a way to foster self-governance and self-control, a recurring theme that we'll see throughout this episode. But still, organized sports in prison was a controversial practice. In the early half of the 20th century, more of these programs began appearing across the United States as prison wardens saw the potential of sports to control prisoners en masse. And another dynamic was at play here: entertainment.
The big house beats the collegiates to the kickoff. The football season opens behind prison walls. Sing Sing Black Sheep versus Holy Name Club of Brooklyn.
Some prison teams gained fan bases on the outside, like the Sing Sing Black Sheep, a football team in New York's Sing Sing Correctional Facility. Coached by Tim Mara, owner and founder of the NFL's New York Giants, the Black Sheep held games throughout the 1930s against outside teams and sold tickets to visiting spectators. The idea came from a warden, Louis E. Laws, who was an early advocate for rehabilitation over punishment in prisons. He believed that attracting a crowd of visitors would allow people in prison to demonstrate their humanity to the outside world. As Laws told Sports Illustrated, quote, "Visitors learn to understand that prisoners are human, and prisoners appreciate the necessity of playing the game on the square with their fellows." Outsiders flocked to these prison games in droves. At one point, the Black Sheep had up to 7,000 spectators at a game. Outside ticket sales were used to fund equipment for the games and the travel to and from the facility by visiting teams. The players themselves didn't see any of this money, but surplus revenue was used to pay the wages of all the prison laborers. But the commercial popularity of Sing Sing's football games caught the ire of the New York State Commissioner of Corrections, who didn't believe the prison had the legal authority to charge visitors to watch games, and banned ticket sales in 1936, effectively ending the program. However short-lived, the popularity of the Black Sheep fueled new sports programs in prisons across the U.S.
The new year is the perfect time to start fresh. So why not make it delicious? Start your day with Bob's Red Mill 100% whole grain oats. One simple ingredient with endless possibilities. Whether you're a sweetness savorer or a good health guru, with Bob's Red Mill, you can have a naturally delicious breakfast made your way. So savor your mornings with premium oats, perfected by nature and made to be shared. No matter how you top your oats, you're always welcome at our table. Look for Bob's Red Mill oats in the blue bag.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum, built for business by American Express.
So why have sports programs become so popular in prisons? For one, sports offer people in prison real, tangible health benefits. Studies show that incarceration causes worse health outcomes across the board. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, when compared to the general population, people of both sexes who are incarcerated are more likely to have high blood pressure, asthma, cancer, arthritis, and infectious diseases such as tuberculosis, hepatitis C, and HIV. Sports can help counter some of the negative physical effects of being incarcerated through physical activity and stimulation. There are also proven mental health benefits to sports participation. According to the Department of Justice, people in both jails and prisons suffer from much higher rates of mental illness than the general population, which creates even more barriers when they're released and re-enter society. But numerous studies show that those in prison who engage in sports generally experience lower rates of stress, anxiety, and depression. Beyond the health benefits of physical activity, sports programs in prisons are often aimed at rehabilitation, helping individuals to regulate their emotions and provide a healthy outlet for the daily frustrations of being behind bars. Sports programs in prisons aim to teach skills that will be useful in re-entering society and the job market, like determination and teamwork. It also gives individuals something to look forward to, a short-term goal to work toward. Participating in prison sports often requires people to be enrolled in self-improvement programs and to meet a minimum good behavior requirement. To see how these sports programs are playing out today, let's go back to one of the most notorious prisons in the United States, the San Quentin Rehabilitation Center.
San Quentin, you've been living hell to me.
San Quentin is California's oldest prison. With a population of over 3,000, the prison is infamous for its appearances in film, television, and music.
Asking why. San Quentin, I hate every inch of you.
Like the Johnny Cash performance you just heard, which was part of a live album recorded at the prison that actually earned him a Grammy nomination for Album of the Year in 1969. For decades, the prison was well known for its death row, the largest in the United States. Over the years, it's housed many of California's worst serial killers, including Charles Manson. In 2019, Governor Gavin Newsom instituted a moratorium on the death penalty in California.
Struck a chord. He said, it's not the question, the death penalty, of whether or not people deserve to die for their heinous acts. The question really is, do we have the right to kill? Do we have the right to kill? And I think if someone kills, we don't kill. We're better than that.
San Quentin has also been famous for its sports. Sporting events abound in the facilities, with organized programs for baseball, football, track, soccer, and more. The prison even has its own athletic association, the SQAA, which lobbies for the expansion of sports programs and holds its own banquets for exceptional players each year. Take the San Quentin Giants, a baseball team comprised of 22 prisoners who earned their spot from a pool of over 60 aspiring players, adorned in uniforms donated by Major League Baseball's San Francisco Giants. The San Quentin players routinely take on competitive men's teams from across the bay on their home field, the San Quentin Field of Dreams, and usually they win. Across the facility, there are tennis matches every Saturday morning on San Quentin's singular court. As part of an inside-outside program, visiting players, some of whom play competitively for USTA teams, routinely enter facilities, facing San Quentin players in doubles matches. Janie McCauley, a former college player who participates in the program, told the Associated Press that the experience feels more like a friendly day of tennis at a public park than a prison visit. And of course, there's the facility's famed basketball team, the San Quentin Warriors, who we heard from at the start of this episode.
I think I just won my taxes.
Yeah?
I just switched to H&R Block in about 1 minute. All I had to do was drag and drop last year's return into H&R Block, and bam, my information is automatically there.
So I don't have to go digging around for all my old papers to switch?
Nope.
Sounds like we just leveled up our tax game.
Switching to H&R Block is easy. Just drag and drop your last return. It's better with Block.
The San Quentin Golden State rivalry began over a decade ago, with just a few Golden State staff heading into the prison for Saturday morning visits. Here's Kirk Lacob, Warriors Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations and the son of Warriors owner Joe Lacob, who was among the first to visit San Quentin and pivotal in kicking off the tradition.
About 12 or 13 years ago, one Saturday morning, went out and played basketball in San Quentin, had an unbelievable time and really enjoyed it, and decided I was going to be going back for more whenever I could. And after about 2 years of doing that, I was talking to some friends with the team here on the coaching staff and the front office. And we said, you know, what'd be great is if we all went and played together. And so we called the warden, said, would you guys be open to doing this? And they were like, absolutely. So we gathered around our coaches in front office and some of the players.
As the ball tips off at the latest September matchup, the ritual is entering its 10th year. Incarcerated players, prison staff, and professional players look on as the San Quentin Warriors take on Golden State coaches and staff in a lively game of basketball. Among San Quentin's roster is point guard Mason Ryan, whose college basketball career ended when he entered the prison. In a behind-the-scenes video produced by Golden State, Mason reflects on what basketball has meant for him since his incarceration.
It saved me. It really did. You know, mentally I wasn't really fit, I don't think, for prison when I first came in, and the thing that saved me was basketball.
Basketball is a kind of lifeline for Mason. It's more than just the big game every year. It's his chosen family, brotherhood, he calls it, who've supported him on the path to self-discovery. As Mason leads his team on the court, Golden State star players are on the sidelines, socializing with incarcerated spectators. Among them is NBA All-Star Chris Paul, who signs autographs and plays friendly games of dominoes as he watches the San Quentin Warriors compete for the very first time. After touring the facilities and listening to people's stories, he becomes visibly emotional, sharing his reflections with a reporter.
I actually have an uncle of mine who was an inmate here for some years ago when I was a kid. So to come in here and get a chance to talk to these men who, you know, just trying to get another chance and rehabilitate themselves is once in a lifetime opportunity.
Beyond their basketball prowess, Mason Ryan and Chris Paul share something else in common. They each tout the rehabilitative nature of the basketball program. And that's a sentiment that's shared by numerous Warriors, both San Quentin and Golden State, who repeatedly invoke this idea of rehabilitation in news articles and press clips. And here's where things get tricky. Of course, incarcerated individuals deserve a shot at redemption, a chance to learn and grow from past mistakes and to identify strategies to make better choices and lead a happier and healthier life. And sports programs in prison purport to offer prisoners just that, bringing the many benefits of recreational activity to those behind bars. But returning to the questions that we raised at the beginning of this episode, what are these programs really meant to teach those who participate? To answer that, let's turn to a prison sports initiative that makes many of the educational lessons underlying San Quentin's programs explicit, the Twinning Project. Originating in the United Kingdom, the Twinning Project is a collaboration between the nation's prison agency and professional English football clubs, which is dedicated to matching every prison in England and Wales with a local club. The project recently made its way to the United States, with Washington, D.C.'s Department of Corrections collaborating with its local team, D.C. United, to teach critical life skills and leadership through soccer. Here's a local D.C. newscaster describing the setup of the program.
Over the past 8 weeks, soccer coaches spent time at the jail teaching the game. And the goal was really to boost the physical and mental well-being and enhance the life skills, like teamwork and discipline and good decision-making amongst the people there.
And the program's educational aims seem to be reaching its participants.
Life comes at you fast, and out there, when you're in the real world, when you're out in the community, you know, things happen, and you have to think fast a lot of times. So to being able to make a good decision in those critical times is very important.
Elsewhere, the Twinning Project has matched incarcerated persons with professional clubs in Miami and Los Angeles, and the message of self-improvement resonates.
The kinds of things they'll learn are really about better sense of self, character building traits, leadership, team working, anger management, all the kinds of things that will ultimately make them better people, both whilst they still serve their sentences, but also when they get out in the community.
That was the CEO of the Twinning Project speaking to local news after the organization matched people at the Century Regional Detention Facility in Los Angeles with the Angel City Football Club. You hear him talk openly about the primary purpose of sports programs like the Twinning Project, for incarcerated persons to better themselves. And while his message might seem innocent, it's this emphasis on self that gives pause to some advocates for incarcerated individuals.
Build a routine with Ollie that supports your wellness needs, like getting your daily vitamins and minerals with Ollie's multi-gummies, or keeping your mood upbeat with all the vitamin D in Hello Happy. Give your gut health some support with probiotics, and wake up feeling refreshed after taking Ollie Sleep. Do wellness on your terms. Find Ollie at a Walmart or Target near you or at ollie.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey Atlanta, say hello to Small Business Help from Apple. That's right, we're here to make starting and running your business simpler. From helping you choose the right devices to setting them up hassle-free, we can help you build your business in no time. Speak to a business expert and get the help you need at no cost whatsoever. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/smallbusiness or visit an Apple store to learn more.
Farah Godrej, a professor of political science at the University of California, Riverside, argues that a focus on individual responsibility in prisons runs the risk of distracting from the inherent injustice of the U.S. carceral state. That injustice is very clear. The United States has the largest prison population in the world by far, imprisoning its citizens at 10 times the rate of comparable democracies. Its system of mass incarceration disproportionately impacts the poor and people of color, with Black Americans far more likely to be stopped without cause, face police brutality, and be handed wrongful convictions. And once imprisoned, America's incarcerated population faces issues ranging from poor living conditions, a lack of physical and mental health support, and penal labor. Studies, like one from the University of Pennsylvania, have found that between 4 to 6% of incarcerated people are innocent of their accused crimes. Here's Professor Godrej explaining how these rehabilitative or self-help programs can actually promote some of these injustices.
So these rehabilitative programs indoctrinate people into repeating the message that their own flawed individual choices and lack of discipline are responsible for their incarceration. And any attempt to point to structural or systemic inequity, issues like race or poverty, is considered evidence of resistance to rehabilitation and can automatically lead to negative assessments by prison staff, which in turn affects a person's chances for early release or parole.
Godrej argues that this focus on personal responsibility is itself a way of controlling incarcerated individuals. People are constantly reminded that their bad behavior is the sole reason for their incarceration. In the words of Professor Godrej, they, quote, end up recasting their own life story in a way that emphasizes their own moral blameworthiness. We've seen that recasting firsthand in some of the programs that we've looked at today, exemplified by San Quentin Warriors point guard Mason, who described how the program helped him see the flaws in his behavior before incarceration. When incarcerated people are down on themselves in this way, questioning their self-worth, they might not be thinking about all of the other systemic ways in which the carceral state has helped put them where they are. And this isn't to say that we should do away with rehabilitative programs or neglect to teach incarcerated people strategies for self-improvement. But instead, Godrej encourages instructors of rehabilitative programs to carefully consider and adjust the lessons that they offer in prisons. Rather than perpetuating cycles of injustice by teaching incarcerated people to blame themselves for their life circumstances, it is possible to leverage these programs in a new way, to remind incarcerated people of the many injustices of the carceral state and to offer them the tools to develop a political consciousness that challenges it. Regardless of where we fall on this issue, there's no question that incarcerated people deserve the joy of sports. But as sports continue to proliferate in prisons across the globe, it's important to remember that behind the feel-good stories, the form and implementation of sports programs have real consequences for the lives of incarcerated people, whether it's a Washington, D.C. soccer lesson or a friendly game of basketball in San Quentin. Thanks for listening to Sportly. Be sure to check out last week's episode where we examined how nations use sports to distract from human rights abuses, a phenomenon known as sports washing. We'll be back with a new episode of Sportly next week. Sportly is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Sadia Khan and Shay Yu, written by Nicholas Black, Shay Yu, and me, Kavitha Davidson. Our sound designer and editor is Paroma Chakravarti. Our theme music was created by Simon Hutchinson. Other music by Epidemic Sound. Tune back in next week for more Sportly.